Hi everyone, welcome back to Anima del Mare. I am so glad you're here. So we're deep into January now, and I want to talk about a feeling I think a lot of us might be having, and that's that weird, low-grade pressure to have our lives all figured out. Modern culture has always treated January 1st like a starting point. We're told we need to have the vision board done, we need to have the gym membership active, we need to have that 12-month plan locked in. But if you feel like you're still in a fog, or you feel like you're behind before the year has even started, I want to give you some permission to exhale. Historically, January was never about deciding the future. It was a month for listening to things that you couldn't quite put your finger on just yet. It wasn't a time for the new you. It was the time for the true you to sit in the dark and wait for the dust to settle. In ancient Mediterranean and Roman cultures, this time was really approached with a lot of humility. They didn't see the world as a blank slate that they could just draw all over. They saw the world as a living thing that was currently holding its breath. And they had a beautiful way of looking at time. They didn't use divination to predict the future like some spoiler in a movie. They used it for finding their footing. So instead of asking, will I get the job this year or will I find love, they asked a much deeper and fainter question. What kind of year is this trying to be? Think about it. They assumed that the year had its own personality, its own mood, its own current. Sometimes the year was trying to be a year of pruning. Sometimes it's trying to be a year of building. But if you're trying to build during a pruning year, you're going to be exhausted and you're going to be frustrated. January was a month where you just sat still long enough to feel which way the wind was blowing so you knew how to meet the year when it finally arrived. If we look at old European folk traditions, the witchcraft of the woods and the kitchen, January was a time of hedge magic. The hedge was the boundary between the village and the wild forest, and in the winter that boundary gets really, really thin. So this wasn't a month for loud, big rituals or manifesting gold. It was about quiet magic. It was about the hearth. Think about the homes in the 1700s. It's freezing outside. The only light they have is fire. And in these lineages, people paid attention to the small omens. They watched how the smoke curled. Was it rising straight up for clarity, or was it lingering near the floor, which is a sign of heavier energy? They watched the birds land on the windowsill. They weren't being superstitious. They were practicing metaphorical thinking. They were training themselves to see the world as a language. And there's this idea of the dreaming time, and I think this is so beautiful. In some traditions, it was believed that Mother Earth was dreaming of what it could grow in the spring. And if you were quiet enough, you could overhear these dreams. So they didn't cast spells to change the world. They cast spells to open their own eyes. And they did cleansing rituals, not to just clean the home, but to clear the static so they could hear their own intuition again. And that's what January is really, really about. Now I want to get into some of the more psychological and neuroscience aspects of January. So I'm going to grab some tea and I'll see you there. All right, now let's pivot into the why behind this, because I think it helps the brain relax a little bit when we kind of understand the science behind it. I'm going to throw a few things at you. So pause, rewatch, do what you need to do. But it's good stuff. So in psychology, we talk about something called uncertainty tolerance, and most of us have a very low tolerance for it. So when we don't know what's coming next, our nervous system starts to scream. It goes into full panic. Like, we got to fix this. We got to plan this. We got to decide now, because uncertainty feels like a threat to the nervous system. But naturally, January is a very high uncertainty period. Our social rhythms from the holidays have ended. The weather is often very unpredictable, and the newness of the year hasn't settled into a routine yet. So when your brain lacks that map for the next 6 months, it does something actually really brilliant, and it's called data collection mode. It moves into this mode. And in neuroscience, this is related to predictive processing. Your brain is a prediction machine, but right now it doesn't have enough information for what's going to happen in 2026. So it slows down, which is amazing. It may feel kind of foggy, it may make you feel a little indecisive, but that fogginess is not a glitch. It's your brain saying, I'm not ready to commit to a direction because I'm still kind of scanning and figuring out how this year is going to happen. But when you force a decision in this state, which sometimes we do, we end up with decision regret. And I know you guys have felt that before. And it's because you're building on shaky ground. It makes sense. Another thing that happens when you slow down is something that we call interoception. And this is the ability to feel what's happening inside your body. So your heartbeat, if you're hungry, your deep down exhaustion. And when the world is loud and when you're hustling nonstop, we lose this. We override it with our bodies. But in quiet January, the volume on those internal signals gets turned up. I actually experienced this yesterday. I went to the gym in the morning, and then when I got home, I was just completely zonked, so tired, and I ended up taking a 4-hour nap. Yes, 4 hours in the middle of the day. And old me would have been like, Jesus, you're so lazy, you're so unmotivated. But the new January me was honestly just really grateful. I realized that my body was finally safe enough to tell me how tired I actually was. So when we stop performing, the truth comes out. You might find yourself saying, I actually don't really want to do this project anymore. Or I've been lying to myself about how happy I am in this situation. Whatever it is, it's not a midlife crisis. It's your internal GPS finally getting a clear signal because you stopped moving around long enough for it to kind of find you. I also want to talk about, before we get into our grounding practice, the Capricorn new moon. So Capricorn, this is actually happening on the 18th. Capricorn is the sea goat. So it is the tail of a fish and the hooves of a goat. So it knows how to navigate the unseen, but it also knows how to climb that huge rocky mountain, that vision, right? This new moon isn't about the climb just yet, though. It's about the foundation. Capricorn is going to ask always, what can I actually hold and what can I actually sustain? So don't use this new moon to list 50 goals that you want to accomplish the rest of the year. Use it to find just one solid truth. Just one. One deep, authentic truth. What feels real? And maybe that truth is, I just need more rest this year. Or I want to be really honest with my body and myself this year. I think something to recognize through all of this, through the mystic and the science, is that if you're feeling drawn to simplicity or to fewer words or to more naps right now, you're doing January right. You're not missing your life. You're not settling, I promise. This is all intentional, and it's getting you set up and grounded before the year ahead. Speaking of grounding practices, before we get into it, I do want to leave you with some journaling prompts if you're into that. So maybe grab a cup of tea, sit by the window, give yourself some time. Okay, 2 prompts, just 2. What is one small omen or repeating pattern I've noticed in my house or my life this week? And then second one, what is my body actually asking for me today? I will link these down below as well so you can reference them, and let's move into our grounding practice. Thanks so much for being here, and see you next week. Go ahead and place both feet on the ground. Let your body feel its weight where it meets the floor. You don't need to sit in any particular way. Just notice that you're being held. Gently let your shoulders drop. Take one slow inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do it again. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now bring your attention to your body. Notice where in your body you feel most contact. It might be your feet, your thighs, your back, or your hands. Now I want you to bring one question to mind about your life right now. Not your biggest question, just one that feels unresolved or uncertain. Don't try to solve it. Just let it exist. Notice what your body does when this question appears. Do you feel tightening? Warmth in your throat? Hands start to sweat? Heart skips a beat, or your stomach drops? Or maybe nothing at all. Whatever you feel is okay. Now see if you can say these words quietly in your mind or out loud. I don't need an answer yet. It's safe for me to gather information first. I can listen to my body before I decide. you're not giving up agency. You're giving your nervous system permission to land. If your mind tries to rush forward, that's okay. Just gently bring your attention back to your body. Take one final slow breath in. And as you exhale, let yourself release the pressure to resolve anything today. And when you're ready, gently let your awareness expand and return to the room.